Hello and welcome. You are listening to Beyond the Surface. I am Angela Bertone, your host. Today's topic is self sabotage. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I am my own worst enemy? Or why do I always mess things up? Well, you're not alone. Many of us struggle with self sabotage, and it's time to explore why. Today, we'll dive into the concept of self sabotage and how it works. Let's start with the basics. Our human nature is designed to respond to stress or danger with a fight or flight response. This response is meant to protect us, but it can also hinder our growth and learning when we perceive new information as a threat. It's at this time that our brains will kick into the security guard mode. The amygdala takes over and our rational thinking goes out the window or offline. So, what happens when our brain prioritizes threats over learning? Our brain's security guard becomes dominant, cutting off access to logic and rational thinking. Our body responds with an automatic physical reaction designed for immediate action, like running away or fighting the perceived or real threat, rather than processing new information. Cognitive function is reduced because stress hormones, like adrenaline and cortisol, prime our body for that action and at the same time degrades our ability to think clearly and logically. Our brain filters information through a lens of potential threats, making it difficult to consider any new ideas objectively because those ideas could threaten your financial stability, could threaten your morality, and it could threaten your relationships. So let's discuss a situation where self sabotage could have been formed at a very early age. So imagine a mother with few small children loses her spouse, and some neighborhood people decide they're going to help out, and they begin to help the family out and build the know, like, trust, we're here for you type of belief and relationship. But over time, one of the individuals begins to groom the children by bringing special gifts and spending extra time. And now that the trust has been established, the individual begins to abuse the children. Those children, fight or flight, would bring a new calculation into the equation that would last a lifetime. And that calculation is when someone's nice to me and brings me gifts, they have an ulterior motive. So the adult who grows up with all those pains of the past and secrets of the past that was formed underneath a canopy of lies that we care about you and we're going to take care of you was forced into this brutal reality that I only do those kinds of things because I have a motive, and that motive is to abuse you and get out of you what I want out of you. So as the children becomes adults and others began to come into their life with genuine generosity and care and gift giving, they have a very difficult time receiving it because the body remembers the abuse in correlation with the gifts and with I'm going to take care of you. So people who experience that unknowingly, their fight or flight could subconsciously begin to tear down or even avoid relationships where gift giving is a genuine, honest, full of love and respect action because the child in the earlier years perceived it as a trade off. So that's one way we can have self sabotage. Another way we can have self sabotage is maybe you had a very happy childhood and things were going wonderful until some unexpected financial prosperity begins to come into your life. And then all of a sudden, because of that financial prosperity, maybe mom and dad get a divorce. And the child's subconscious brain calculates ooh, money is bad. When we were poor, we didn't have family problems. And then when we got rich, all of a sudden my family fell apart. So that could be a self sabotage belief system that says money's dangerous. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a personal testimony where self sabotage was in my life and I was unable to see it until I became so uncomfortable with my current situation that my fight or flight deemed if I don't get new information, this problem's not going to stop. So, oftentimes, in order for us to break free from the old calculations that we are held by, we have to become uncomfortable and willing to receive new information. So, for my personal situation, I grew up in a family where we used traditional medical health care, and my dad and mom believed that what the doctors said was fact, and that's what you do. And so, um, about in 2011, I developed a skin condition, which we think we don't really know for sure, but we think it was acquired by a bug bite, and that bug bite then caused an infection, and then the treatments from the bug bite actually began to compromise my body, but no one was aware that the treatment began to be um, a culprit in my life. And so it took me 7.5 years and 8 different doctors before I was able to break free from my old belief of feeling safe and protected by the medical industry, that I sought out new information. And so for me personally, the treatment, no matter which doctor I went to, and no matter how much the skin condition progressed, and it did progress, over and over and over and over the years. Each time it would progress, it would get worse. And the diagnoses became different and worse, to the point where the only thing that my doctor had left as an option was to shut down my immune system, which at that point I was like, no way. If you shut down my immune system, then what quality of life will I have? So that felt like a bigger threat, if you will, that opened me up to new information that maybe 8 different doctors' approach wasn't working for me. And so, had it worked, I would not have had any reason, if you will, to go search out new ways of thinking. And so, as a result of the discomfort, the pain, and the pure exhaustion and feelings of hopelessness that I experienced during that time, I began looking for alternatives. And what I discovered was there are actually healthcare professionals, including medical professionals, that look for the root cause. So before that never even crossed my mind. And actually, if you would have told me something other than a doctor, I would have thought it was woo woo. Like I can remember a good friend of mine suggesting that I do prebiotic and probiotic and cold plunge. And I'm like, no way. Why would I go do that to myself? And today I am a uh, transferceutical science rep who focuses on immune health and immune education, and 80% of it's in my bowel. So, of course, I pre and pro, right? And not only that, as a result of finding wellness through a totally different approach that has nothing to do with treating symptoms, but it has an approach of listening to my symptoms to see what my body is telling me. Now I'm more open minded, and I still love my doctors and I'm grateful for medical care. But now I have a better way of looking at wellness so that I can incorporate medical care and alternative wellness to be well and stay well. So I exercise, I eat well, my lifestyle's different. I do cold plunge, I do infrared sauna, I do all sorts of things that back in the day I would have just thought was cuckoo. And I experience people who think what I do is like, oh, you're one of those people. Well, I hope they never go through the 7.5 years that I went through. But I will say, I can be offended that they're not interested, or I could understand that this new way of thinking threatens an old way that's worked for them. So that's why I'm telling you this. If you have self sabotage in your life, I wanted you to get a firsthand experience of other people's stories so that you could begin to dig deep and go, oh my goodness, Do I have some of those? And what are they? And if I have them, how do I change them without having to suffer for 7.5 years to come to the conclusion maybe I need a new way of thinking? If that's you, I have great news. Go to my podcast called The Missing Link to the Ancient Secret. Take my 30-day challenge and rewire your heart brain from fear and doubt to love and abundance, today and every day. I'm Angela Bertone, your host. Thank you for joining me on Beyond the Surface, and thank you for sharing it with others.